Hi, gun people. I think I did this shooting back when it happened, back in 2014, I believe is when it happened. And somehow a report was just released from, or it just came to my attention that it was released. Maybe it wasn't just released. From the police foundation on this incident. So let's take a look at what CNN says.
A rolling shootout with hostages with automatic weapons. Scores of police cars hit as gunmen indiscriminately fire an AK-47 from an SUV speeding through the streets of Stockton, California. The three heavily armed gunmen had just robbed this bank, taking...
Look at the lack of hair at this police convention. Never mind.
Three innocent women hostage. One of them, Missy Holt Singh, withdrew money for a hair appointment from the ATM. Her 12-year-old daughter watching nearby as a gunman uses her mother as a human the SUV, reaching speeds of 120 miles per hour. One hostage thrown out of the SUV. Another jumps for her life.
Okay, so 120 mile an hour chase, 50 cops chasing these guys through the city, claiming that they're a danger. They're chasing to save the people, to protect the public. Meanwhile, the only person the bank robbers are shooting at are the cops chasing them, and the cops are shooting back. They have hostages. The one guy accidentally shoots the girl in the leg. One of the hostage takers goes, "Oh, sorry about that." The other guy goes, "Hey, man, she can't drive. Kick her out." So they throw her out the car. So then they continue the chase. They keep the other two. The other hostage jumps out the car at 50 miles an hour. And it's kind of funny. She unlocks the car, and then she waits for her time to jump out. And she goes, suddenly the car locks again like 30 seconds later. And it's because of the automatic, child-proof, idiot-proof, making everything to where nobody knows how to lock their doors anymore. So manufacturers and federal government has to make it mandatory that your door is locked if your cars are moving. So trap the lady because the door locked after she unlocked it. So she finally unlocked it again and then just jumped as soon as she unlocked it. And rolled, banged her head, got a concussion, and she lived, though. And then there one hostage taker in there was killed of the 600 shots fired by the police.
But Holt Singh is still inside with the three gunmen. There are so...
She was struck 10 times. Out of 600 rounds, they were able to hit the hostage 10 times.
So many bullets from the SUV, 14 police cars are disabled, including an armored SWAT vehicle.
When they say disabled, they shot the tires out. Okay.
The gunmen refusing to surrender. Officers so terrified they text their loved ones while in pursuit, fearing they won't survive. Then comes this final moment.
They cut it short. There was 5 minutes of gunfire. 600 rounds. Remember, there's a hostage in the car when this happens.
Gunfire goes on and on.
Well, that was about 300 gunshots.
It was actually much more. Now, more than a year later, this independent investigation by the Washington-based Police Foundation found more than 600 shots were fired. The hostage, Missy Holt Singh, was struck 10 times by police bullets, killing...
Nobody went to jail. Nobody had a problem with that. But this report, and I'm going to go through the report. What did this guy say? I had this video. It's 2 minutes. Let's see.
Police on a wild chase. When it was over, 3 people dead, including one of the hostages. ABC's David Wright is in Los Angeles with the latest. Good morning.
By the way, the suspect, one of the robbers in the car, when the 600 rounds were fired, wasn't hit. Wasn't hit. Hit the hostage 10 times, didn't hit the bad guy. 600 rounds. I mean, just fathom your head around that. Can you imagine a citizen chasing somebody that just abducted their child or wife and shooting 600 rounds and killing innocent people? And the government would be like, well, you know, it was a very, very high tense situation. The police did the best they could. And, you know, the government, we were there to help you. They even say in a report, they chased this guy in order to protect other citizens and the person in the car. 600 rounds. Killed her. But they chased. Remember, when government comes to help, it never gets better.
David.
Good morning, George. An incredible scene in this morning's town chasing this group of bank robbers. Extra rounds of ammo taped to their bust. In Stockton, California, a bank heist straight out of the movies that led to this deadly chase through city streets.
Now remember, bank robbery is a federal crime. So when the liberal left tells you, immigration's federal, we don't want the locals enforcing it. But we're okay with this. Bank robbery is a federal crime. We're okay with locals enforcing this federal crime. We just don't want them enforcing the immigration federal crime. Anybody see a problem with that?
And neighborhoods at speeds of up to 100 miles an hour.
100 miles an hour in neighborhoods, but they're protecting you. We're here to save you. If we crash into you going through a red light at 100, we're doing it for your protection. It's for your safety. It's for the children. National security. The same phrases I've been hearing for 50 years about BS.
The cop went flying through the intersection. We jumped back onto the sidewalk.
It all started Wednesday afternoon at this Bank of the West branch. Authorities say 3 robbers made off with money and 3 female hostages. Misty Holsing's cousin, Robert,
the car, her daughter has to take
employees' SUV and fired AK-47 type assault weapons at police cars in hot pursuit. The hostages there in the car with them. At least 14 other cars struck with stray bullets.
The actions of the dangerous criminals today was beyond reckless.
This guy kills me. This is what I wanted to point out about this video. This freaking piece of shit police chief is going to get up here and say the actions of the bank robbers are appalling. And they didn't shoot anybody till the cops showed up. They didn't fire at the bank robbery, and they didn't fire on the cops. The cops showed up and started chasing them, and that's when people started getting shot. And this police chief is upset at them, not upset at government, who freaking fired 600 rounds and killed a hostage. No, that behavior isn't outrageous. Only the bad guy's behavior. Because the government, we're here to help. He's the only guy in the department who's got hair.
And chaotic.
Stray bullets.
The actions of the dangerous criminals today was beyond reckless and chaotic. No words can describe it.
Us flying through intersections 120 miles an hour, not reckless. 50 cars chasing one car, not reckless. Firing 600 rounds into a vehicle with a hostage, not reckless. Only the bad guy's behavior was reckless. Really?
Police say during the chase, 2 of the
there's CHP doing their great job. Everyone else is... What happened to his hair? What the... So, everyone else is chasing a bad guy. CHP's parked in intersection, directing traffic. Good job there, Highway Patrol, State Police, you big ticket writers. Hey, if it ain't a ticket, I don't want to do anything about it.
hostages were tossed out of the getaway car. One of them shot and injured. This cell phone video shows one of the hostages on the road.
Her leg was all tore up and bleeding.
After more than an hour's chase, it all ended in a bloody shootout, heard on this cell phone video. In the end, a weapon on the ground.
Chasing a guy for an hour at 120 miles an hour, shooting at each other. Not reckless. I want to get, because remember the police chief said the bank robber's conduct. A criminal committing a criminal act with a gun that he obtained in spite of 30,000 gun laws. No, that's not reckless. What's reckless is his actions. We did a good job. We chased him for an hour at 120 miles an hour, endangering everybody on the road. We fired 600 rounds with a hostage in the car. We did good.
The SUV riddled with bullet holes.
How would you like to be a hostage in that car? How would you like to be in this car and call the police to come help you? Well, if you're calling the police to come help you, this is the image you ought to remember.
All three alleged bank robbers shot, 2 of them killed. That third hostage was also killed.
Police say the hostage who was killed, that mother, Misty Holsing, was used as a human shield.
Oh, so it wasn't the police's fault. Okay, we got that straight. Let's go to the next article. So according to Wikipedia, this happened on July 2014. Armed bank robbers taking hostages, Sacramento, leading. So the bank robbers were leading the Stockton police. It wasn't the Stockton police deciding and following and charging. No. The 3 hostage takers were leading the police department. I just love words, man. Over the course of the chase, one suspect fired over 100 rounds. Okay, yeah, sure he did. Cops fired 600, he fired 100. At police, disabling 14 vehicles, including their Bearcat. Big armored vehicle, big combat vehicle, disabled by shooting out a tire. 30 officers shot 600 rounds. That's quick math, maybe 20 per officers. Into the getaway vehicle. 2 perpetrators were killed. 2 hostages were injured. 1 hostage was killed by police ammunition. Oh. But the police were there to help, Rick. Rick, they're all heroes, and it's a dangerous job, and you just don't appreciate them. Yeah, okay. You're right. If you're killing somebody I care about, trying to help, you're right. I don't appreciate you. What kind of idiot appreciates somebody come kill? I tell you what, all you idiots out there protecting and defending the cops in this incident, let me come and shoot your family, and I'll just say I'm there to help, and you should call me a hero, too. Okay? Freaking idiots. All right, let's get to the report. So this report, and I'll put a link to it in the description if you want to go read the whole thing. I read the whole thing, but I wanted to just point out certain things. So I highlighted some areas, and I'm going to stop at the highlighted because there's just so much stuff in here that's kissing the police department and saying how they need more money. You'll notice everything in here always leads to, if the government had more money, they could fix all these problems. So we've already kind of went through a lot. Let me get to the areas of my highlights that I wanted to cover. Here we go. What do we got here? Over the next 62 minutes, the 3 bank robbers, seemingly with no care for their own lives, let alone anyone else. That sounds like the police that were chasing him at 120 miles an hour and fired 600 rounds. No, Rick. That was the bank robbers. The police did good. Okay, I got it. Led the pursuers on a violent, terrifying 63-mile chase. Winding residential streets. Wide open freeways. Sometimes hitting 120 miles an hour. Okay. So, only the bank robbers had no care for anyone. Okay, I got it. Let's see. Misty Holt, 41-year-old mother of 2, was dead, accidentally killed by the police. If you're shooting 600 rounds into a vehicle, how the hell is that an accident? Are you freaking kidding me? This is the Police Foundation report to hold police agencies accountable. They did this report pro bono to help the police, to help improve the police. Really? This report has very little credibility because of the way they're just kissing the cops. Everybody on the board of this Police Foundation is a Sacramento police chief, a deputy undersheriff at a sheriff's department for 30 years. They're all career law enforcement. So don't expect this report to point out that the police totally screwed the pooch. He killed an innocent hostage. When I read this report, I was just like, are you kidding me? Let's see. What else did I put? How did a number of police officers who had shown remarkable restraint, wow, they did such a good job, throughout the whole ordeal, suddenly lose control with a startling, terrifying barrage of gunfire, while others maintained their composure? And was there a way the hostage could have been saved? Yeah. The cops could have not shot 600 freaking rounds into this car. That's how. You got to ask that. You don't even know what killed a woman? Here's a clue, freaking idiots. All you retired police chiefs at the Police Foundation. The hostage was killed because the police fired 600 rounds into a car. That's why she was killed. Are you freaking kidding me? Is there a way the hostage could have been saved? Okay, I pretty much answered that one. Let's see what else they say in this great report. In 2012, the aftermath of the real estate bubble, Stockton became the largest city to file bankruptcy because it was a crime-ridden, left-wing, diversity is our strength, sanctuary city that embraced tolerance and built a whole bunch of bathrooms and bankrupted the city. Gee, who could have predicted that shit? The police department was hit hard by cutbacks. Large numbers of veteran officers left, leaving it understaffed. And a vast number of younger, inexperienced members all. So it wasn't the police department's fault. It wasn't the left-wing policies that bankrupted. It wasn't the corrupt politicians and all the wasteful money that bankrupted. No. The problem here is the veteran officers left and they were understaffed by younger. Okay, I got it. Yeah, okay, yeah. Wow, man, I'm glad I read this report because I didn't know what was going on. Now I feel educated. At the same time, a dark four-door Buick, 3 young men dressed in dark clothing climbed out the vehicle. Anyone who saw them could tell something was amiss. They wore hoodies. Oh, that sounds like hoodieism. Why you gotta hate on hoodies? They wore hoodies over their head with baseball hats, carried back slacks slung over their shoulder. They wore gloves that had been duct taped to their sleeves. Okay, for all you people that don't get it, in law enforcement, we call that a clue. If you're duct taping your gloves to your long sleeves and you got a hoodie on, that's a clue. Well, Rick, maybe it was cold out and it was snowing. Yeah, it's Stockton, California, you freaking idiot. All right, just then, as they began done with their legs. Oh, just as they had done with their legs on their pants. So they taped their pants. The reason they taped their gloves is, in their mind, they didn't want DNA to come out. They're thinking, we don't want DNA, so if we tape, we're not going to have our DNA. So these guys were fairly smart. They did quite a few things. The crooks did quite a few things good. Their faces were covered by obviously fake beards and mustaches. They wore sunglasses. Well, shit, now you can just wear a mask and sunglasses when you rob a place. You don't have to go through all this. Just claim the coronavirus. Coronavirus should be like a huge boost in crime and criminals. I'm surprised the criminals haven't taken advantage of that. Rick, you can't say that. You're going to encourage whatever, you freaking idiot. And those looking closely, ammunition had been taped to their clothing. So they taped extra mags to their clothing. Pretty smart. I mean, instead of wearing a belt like law enforcement does with magazine holders, or like military does with extra magazine holders, these guys took the ghetto save a dime approach. Instead of buying all that expensive gear, we'll just duct tape magazines where we want it to our body. Works for me. All the members of our local street gang, that's shocking, intercepted Hollinger outside the bank with their 2 partners who had already encountered a security officer and took control. So they took a security officer, took control of him. He didn't get shot. He didn't get taken hostage. They took women. Why did they take women? Well, we don't know. Maybe they're easier to control. Rick, that's sexist. Those gang members are... Okay, I'm sorry. They took them because they were empowered and they wanted to show equalness. Immediately reorganized 2 of them 6 months earlier. I thought to myself, well, shit, here we go again. So Huber, who was the bank manager, knew that they had robbed the place before. She goes, okay, here we go again. So if you work in a town to where you start recognizing your regular robbers, you might have a clue that you live in a high crime area. Okay? We'll just call that a clue. Rick, you can't stereotype a neighborhood. That's race. All right, whatever. Unbeknownst to the bank robbers or workers at the bank, where a corporate security office saw it unfold and called the police. So the cops were notified almost immediately. Nobody pressed the silent alarm, by the way. They were notified by somebody outside that saw them and called the police, somebody outside that walked over to a cop that was parked there that didn't see it, and that person told the cops that there was a robbery. Female officer, I might add. Johnny on the spot there missed all these clues, but somebody was able to run across the street and tell him, hey, bunch of guys in there with the gloves taped to their hands, I think they're going to rob the joint. And the female officer went, oh, shit, I better spring into action and save the day. So they knew about this very, very quickly. It's undescribable what you were thinking, Jones said. He had just had a line-of-duty death and a funeral. So I think Jones is the police chief, and his first thought when this went down, when he heard the bank robbery and they were chasing, is that they had just buried an officer. Remember, officer safety. His first thought wasn't protecting the community. I wonder if there's hostages. I wonder if they killed anybody in the bank. No. The police chief's head government official, first thought, man, we just buried an officer. I hope we don't have to do that again. But Rick, they're there to protect us, and they take an oath, and they work for us. Yeah, that's because you're an idiot. Let's see. Several officers had been finishing canine training. Remember training? But Rick, they need more training. Look, canine officers are always training, and they all do stupid shit. You can't train common sense. You can't train humanity. You can't train doing the right thing. Okay? People do what they do no matter how much training you give. You idiots out there calling for more training is just blind into this report, because this report is all about we need our own helicopter. We need air support. We need to have more money. We need to hire veteran officers. We need to pay more so we attract better officers. This whole report is nothing but about government needs more money and we could have fixed it, which is absolutely outrageous and a slap in the face of anybody with common sense. As they loaded their gear in the cars, they responded to, they call this self-initiating or dispatching, that's against policy, but that's not a problem. I mean, that's why 600 rounds are fired. There was a scramble for the radios and rifles, neither of which were assigned to individual officers. What does that mean? We need to spend more money so every officer has their own radio and rifles. Instead, they were given out as first come, first serve. And because of the city's bankrupts, coupled with a large number of people working on Wednesdays, there was not enough to go around. Damn, if we only gave government more money, we could have fixed this. Okay, common theme here. In other cases, officers stayed on their beats. These would have been the female officers that didn't want to get involved. But for many, hearing their ordeal unfold became too much, and they left their beats to join. That's normally against policy. Your beat is your area of responsibility. Unless you're dispatched out, you do not leave your beat. So anyway, let's see. My hands were shaking, Huber said. That's one of the hostage takers. Suspect said, "Don't worry, no one's going to get hurt. Just do as you're told." This was before he accidentally shot her in the leg. Maybe she wasn't the one shot in the leg. The three suspects headed out the bank. One of them gripped Huber by the shirt collar and held her at gunpoint. Look, people, if you're ever taken hostage, first of all, I never go in a bank without a gun. Never. I don't care if I'm in my shorts, in my freaking underwear, I'm sliding a gun down. I don't care what I got to do. I never go in a bank without a gun. You are not taking me hostage because I know I'm dead, and I ain't waiting for the cops to come save me because I know they're going to kill me. If everybody had a gun in this bank, this would have turned out different. These guys probably wouldn't have robbed a bank if they knew people in there were armed. If they knew every bank employee carried a gun, these coward gang members would not have robbed this bank. You can't tell the liberal left that because they're too freaking worried about freaking getting guns from everybody, so only government and them have guns. Grab them, Huber recalled one of the bank robbers saying. Take some girls. Ooh, these guys are sexist, or they believe in equal opportunity and they've been to college and they understand that everybody's equal. One of the reasons we can crack on them for something for that choice. Let's see here. I was confident in engaging them, but that close. This is one of the officers. I knew I couldn't because if I hit one, it would go through and hit the hostage. So one of them had them at gunpoint when they walked out the door. Normally, when you respond to a bank call, you hide your vehicle and you set up in a position so you can get the surprise on the guy, and you don't want to tip them off so they don't run back into the bank and take hostages. You don't want to force bank robbers in there. Well, the first person there was standing right out in the open and confronted them. So, big mistake there. Let's see. Things felt out of control. And then only 5 blocks from the bank, Huber heard a loud noise and felt a searing pain in her right upper thigh. She thought the dye pack used at her bank had exploded, but all she could see was red. The dye packs were not that color. And shouldn't that be possessive? It's dye pack? I don't know. Anyway, its dye packs are not that color. So their dye packs weren't red. They were probably purple or green or whatever. So she knew it wasn't a dye pack. Okay. Then I heard one of the guys in the back say, this is one of the suspects. Oh, shit, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Huber said. The suspect had accidentally shot her. So, accident caused by all the cops chasing him. She tried to drive, but her leg felt powerless. The bank robber in the front reached across Huber, opened the driver's door, and suddenly, at 2:18, she found herself lying on the pavement. She had no idea what happened. An officer pulled up nearby and told her to come to him. The pain was too much, so she did 3 barrel rolls and found herself underneath the bumper of a car. A handful of officers covered Huber and began treating her. She was injured. A bullet passed through her left leg into her ankle and shattered her bone. AKs are a really good weapon. 1 round usually incapacitates you. I love AKs for their people-stopping ability. A lot of people will crack on them, but I'm telling you, I love them. I had just met with my life insurance agent the day before, one officer said. It was a morbid thought, but I knew I was good because my family would be taken care of. All right, so this is an attempt to humanize and to show how police are heroes and how tough this was from them. You know what this officer didn't think? When I fired my 600 rounds and my partners into a vehicle with a woman, their family was of no importance to me. See, this is where cops just lose it to me. They do things that, like, me and my family is the only thing that matters. And everyone else will screw you. You don't have a gun and you don't have a badge. That is the mindset of most officers nowadays, and you can tell by their behavior. Other officers texted their loved ones while driving. Oh, they're so human. They were worried. They were willing to risk their life. They risked their lives. 50 officers pulled up and fired 600 rounds in their car, and they were risking their lives. This is dangerous, Rick. You don't understand. That's very dangerous. Yeah, okay. Although the chase included marked and unmarked vehicles, motorcycles at one point, a Bearcat and a Bearcat tactical vehicle. Oh, I don't know why I highlighted that. At times, the chaos got better. Some officers who tried to get to the lead, officers passed their colleagues. This always happens in pursuits. You got guys get amped up, and they're going to floor it. I remember one specific incident. We're responding to a domestic. I don't remember if it was weapons or something. It was a pretty hot call, and a lot of units are going, and I was going, I don't know, 70, 75, freaking down the road. I thought I was going at a fairly reasonable rate, and some cop just flew by me like freaking I was sitting still. I was like, holy shit, this was on a hill, blind, on a hill. If a car would have been coming over, he would have hit him head on, and he passed me, and I went, what the? Anyway, you got to get there first sometimes. Anyway, it was crazy. Barreling past me more than 100 officers. One of us, someone said, is that another bad guy or someone else? So some officer was whining in a report that somebody passed him, and he didn't know if it was a real cop or not because he didn't have his light. Whatever. I mean, undercovers, that's what they do. If shit happens, I mean, it's just the nature of the meat-eating cops. When shit happens, everybody wants to go. That's why you need policy, procedure. You got to be called off. Somebody's got to be in charge. And somebody has to sit back. And it's easier as you get older and understand it. When you're younger and adrenaline takes over, look, this shit's going to happen. Throughout the pursuit, operational control debate between the commanding officers, ramming the vehicle was an option, although SWAT leaders wanted to wait. Why? Because we have to justify SWAT. SWAT leaders always want to wait because they want SWAT to be the hero. They want to run it their way. They want to say, we get all this training and all this money and all this equipment, and now you cops show up and get it done before we get a chance to get there. Let us get there. So anytime you ask SWAT, and when I ran SWAT, I was the same way. Wait for us. We'll handle it better. We're more equipped. We've got the training. But you know what? The guys on the road don't want to wait for you guys. So they think they're just good, and they want you to think you're whatever. SWAT wanted everybody to wait until they had a tactical advantage, which proved tough given the nature of pursuit. When you're chasing somebody, look, you can't be waiting for SWAT. SWAT's behind the curve. By the time they get suited up, rounded up, get in their cars, get in a pursuit, and get there, you're wasting a whole bunch of time. And if you can stop the threat in between waiting for them, then you probably ought to stop it. Spike strips were briefly discussed, but very few in the field because the department simply didn't own many workable strips any longer. An officer had one, but was told not to use it because of the danger of trying to deploy it. So which one is it? Is it because we need more money because there weren't enough workable? Is that why we didn't use it? Or one guy that had it was told not to do it for officer safety because he didn't want to get shot at? Which one was it? Well, it's whichever one fits the mean. When this department's asking for more money, they will point to the unit didn't have enough sight strips usable, and they will forget that even when they had one, they weren't using it. But we still need to buy everybody their own, and we need to buy more. We need to spend more because that's what government does best. Because if we only had more money, we could fix all the problems. And if we only had all the guns from all you pesky citizens, we could keep you safe. And then we would be the only ones shooting 300, 600 rounds into a car with your wife in it or your daughter in it and killing them and saying it was an accident. Are you freaking kidding me? Officers were told not to shoot at the moving vehicle, which is part of departmental policy. But I think they were shooting at it because they were getting shot at. But anyway, two thoughts ran through the dispatcher's mind. First, it was lucky for this to be taking place on a Wednesday, known around the department as Fat Day. On Wednesdays, they got free donuts. No, they don't. That's when the shifts overlap. Because overlapping shifts. Secondly, she was amazed and impressed how clearly officers were speaking over the radio as the bullets struck their vehicles and whizzed by. Oh, see how great we are? Government will always figure out. That's why this report was more about kissing government's ass, and every other sentence is how great they did. Every once in a while, they throw in a softball they could have done better. But the shooting 600 rounds was an accident that the hostage got killed. Really? Give me a freaking break. The suspect had no intention of driving off. They were waiting until officers got around corners to ambush them. In my mind, they wanted to murder police officers. Oh my God, it's so scary. We were chasing them at 120 miles an hour, endangering everybody. That's why we fired 600 rounds and killed the hostage, because they were going to ambush and kill us. Our job is tough. We're heroes. Okay, his car was on the parked on the shoulder entrance. Anderson intended to shoot the driver, but then he saw the gunman had his back upper arm shattered, the window, AK, whatever. He fired a couple of shots off at the car. The Explorer jumped forward. Without Anderson there to disrupt the officers, everyone involved was sure that law enforcement personnel would have died. So this officer who shot at a moving car against policy, who shot at a suspect that was moving with a hostage, probably against policy, not real good safety, who shot into a moving vehicle with a hostage, not against policy. It was all good, because if he hadn't done that, officers would have died. So you can violate policy if officers are going to die. People, you're going to think I'm just cracking on cops here, but I'm telling you, this is the mindset. This is how government gets out of control. This is how they fool people when you just get the 5-minute, news report from the left-wing government media saying government responded today and fired several rounds at armed robbers and saved 2 hostages. That sounds really good if you only get part of the story. This is how they reword it. The driver, let's see, Department's Bobcat could finally be playing the role. The driver of the armored vehicle rammed the Explorer but missed. Oh, if he only had more training, he could have hit it. If we only had bigger vehicles, if we only had more than just one, we could have hit it. It's all about money. Let's get more money and more people. More government's always better. He missed it by a matter of feet. Darn, that damn vehicle. The gunman fired his AK repeatedly, shredding the Bearcat's tires, forcing it to back off. Darn. Could have predicted that. San Joaquin Sheriff's Department added fixed-wing aircraft. Members of the Department Narcotics Air Unit, almost all narcotic units have an aircraft to follow cars and stuff. Air Unit had been listening on a scanner. The sergeant told them to get involved. The pilot and his spotter took flight shortly after and joined the pursuit. Let's see. One of the Stockton sergeants got on the air, ordered officers to back off. So a sergeant got on and said, back off. How did we end up with 50 officers shooting 600 rounds and killing the hostage? Rick, it was a rapidly evolving situation. You don't understand. It was stressful and they're a hero. Okay. Officers were ordered back off and let the airplane take the lead. That sounds reasonable. The airplane spotter verbally tracked the Explorer. Because the airplane was primary narcotics surveillance, they had limited interaction between the flight crew and patrol officers. See, if we only had our own aircraft, if we only had more training so we could communicate, it would have been better. More training means more money, more government, more requirements, more people to keep track of the training. We need training people to keep track of the training so we can get more training, more government, more money. People, keep your eye on the ball when you read and hear shit that government reports. The lack of experience of working together is awkward. Oh, if we just had more training money so we could get experience working together, we could fix all these problems and it would have went better. And we wouldn't have fired 600 rounds into the car and killed the hostage. Yeah, okay. I believe that. Let's see here. From the moment one of the hostages seen SWAT, she began putting a... This is one of the other hostage takers. I know I'm going to jump from the vehicle or I could die. I knew when I saw the SWAT team there, I was going to die. I wonder why she knew that. So she had to get out of the car. Pretty smart move. She was thinking, more scared. So she jumped out of a moving vehicle at 50 miles an hour because she knew the SWAT team showed up and they would kill her. She was right. Nobody's giving her credit. She risked her life, rolled out of a car going 50 miles an hour because she saw the SWAT team there. I mean, this is brilliant to me, but nobody played it. Nobody wrote it that way. Nobody said this woman was more scared of government coming to help her and knew that they would kill her and would have no regard for her life and she had to get out of there. Just like they killed the other hostage that was in there and shot her 10 times when they fired 600 rounds into the vehicle. Really? Her door was locked. She shifted her leg toward the door. See if the bank robbers was paying attention. They were not. She nonchalantly unlocked the door. 30 seconds later, it locked by itself. I didn't know if it had locked or if I had done it. A little while later, I thought maybe because the car was moving. That's exactly why I did it. When I did it again, it was all one motion. I remember my door, my handle. This was it. Launched herself. Out of the wheel, cart rolling across the street. SUV and other officers estimated her speed 50 miles an hour. She blacked out. having sustained significant head injuries. Although she was badly hurt, she would survive. Why did she survive? Because she didn't stay in the vehicle when she saw the SWAT vehicle show up. I mean, nobody points out that fact, and that's clearly what happened. The only reason she is alive, because she saw government getting close and she got the hell out of there. People, don't depend on government. Come on. Multiple police vehicles pulled up alongside wide road 4-lane where officers fanned out. Some officers covered the vehicles, others used trees for cover. Multiple officers. If you had 50 cars, you had over 50 officers because a lot of units were two-man units. Dozens of officers. Dozens of officers. Many of them opening fire. There were no dedicated shooters. There was very little control. Just police officers trying to stop the threat. We got to stop the threat. Officer safety. We got to protect the public. That's all they were trying to do, Rick. They were trying. We can't help it if the hostage died in the car. We were trying to stop the threat. It's okay when government tries and kills innocent people. Civilians do it and they go to prison. But Rick, government should be at a higher standard because they're trained. Well, that's because you're an idiot. The gunfire roared has more than 600 rounds. More than 600 shots were fired. In some cases, officers opened fire at colleagues standing in front of them. One officer laid prone, searching for a target, but didn't see any. At the same time, my colleague standing above me fired off shot after shot. I asked him, "What's his target?" The prone officer yelled, thinking he was missing something. And the officer responded, "The car! I'm just shooting at the car!" Totally against policy. Can't shoot at vehicles, must shoot at the threat, must only shoot when you see a threat to stop and to protect yourself or others. This officer clearly violated policy, which could have resulted in a hostage taker death. No one was charged, no problem. 600 rounds, more than 600 rounds, killed the hostage. He was shooting at the car. But Rick, I thought they couldn't shoot at cars. Well, they can't until they do, and then when they kill a hostage, it's okay. Rules don't apply to the government. We knew we had to approach quickly and save you. SWAT ordered. Our first priority obviously was a hostage. Really? You fired 600 rounds into a vehicle holding a hostage. You hit her 10 times. The hostage taker survived and the hostage died. But we had to act quickly and safely, the SWAT officer said. Our first priority was the hostage. Really? How can you say that with a straight face? Then quickly realized we could do nothing for Holt. She was dead. She had been struck 10 times. They pulled the third suspect out, and to their amazement, he was unarmed. The suspect was in the same freaking car 600 rounds hit, unharmed. Hostage, dead. 10 rounds. But Rick, the government are heroes, and they're there to protect us, and you need to support them no matter what they do. They're trying, and it's a tough job. Whatever. Quit freaking singing the ignorant mantra. The suspect's driver was dead in the seat. The suspect in the car was breathing, but he would later die. We had people shooting. I don't know. The car, an officer said, "You can't do that. You own every bullet you fire." That said, you got officers who had been shot for an hour and afraid of their lives. And their lives were in danger, and the guy next to him, life was in danger. With all the training you had, I don't blame them. Oh, isn't that a feel-good statement? The police, even when they're wrong, even when they do shit that's against the law, even when it results in the death of an innocent person, you can't blame them. They're heroes. They're the police. They're there to protect and serve you. Are you freaking kidding me? This report was like just had their head up the police department's ass. All of the 33 officers from 4 separate scenes who fired their weapons were taken to a nearby hotel. They rented out a whole freaking hotel so they could keep these officers separate in different rooms. More taxpayer money. But Rick, well, it was a highly the chief's reasons for being so transparent. The first one, dispelling rumors. Yeah, rumors that your cops fired 600 rounds and killed the hostage. That's the rumor you didn't want out. Let's see. Over the next few days, Jones, I think his police chief, made sure to meet with the 2 surviving hostages. Well, it wouldn't do much good if he met with the dead hostage and their families and members of Holt. Oh, so he met with the family of my whole point. I am sorry it happened. Sorry it happened. We care for you. Really? Did you care for me when you were firing 600 rounds when my wife was in the car? When my daughter's mother was in the car dying a useless death because your officers were out of control, firing randomly at a car 600 times? Were you sorry then? Did you care for me then? Man, this chief needed to be on the freaking carpet. You know what? This report made the chief look like a hero. If you read this whole report, the chief did such a great job. He was so transparent. He asked these people to come in and evaluate him. He asked them to come and evaluate him because he didn't ask me to come evaluate him. I guarantee you he don't want to pay me to do my report on this. Of course not, because it would make him look like an incompetent buffoon and he's not holding his officers accountable. But Rick, this is the Police Foundation and they have a nice name with police in it and you should trust. Okay, whatever. No more than one of Misty Hall's killed by police bullets fired trying to stop the trio, turn the streets of Stockton into a war zone. Who turned it into a war zone? The 50 cops firing 600 rounds? No, Rick. The bad guys did it. Oh, okay, I got it. Let's see. Singh also made it clear he was not happy on how his wife died. His lawyers filed a claim to sue Stockton. Shocking. More taxpayer money. Decisions made by the officers. Also filing intents to sue are the two hostages. Now, I don't know why the hostage that jumped out of the car is going to sue, or the hostage that was accidentally shot in the leg going to sue. But you know what? Actually, I do know why they're going to sue. Because it's taxpayer money. They know they'll get money. They know government throws money at their incompetence because it's not government's money. When government pays off these things, they don't lose budget money. Hell, when they run their city into bankruptcy, they just file bankruptcy. They never are held accountable for their spending, so why would they care? You should always sue government. That is the rule. Sue government, they'll throw money at you. It's not their money. It's not their budget. It doesn't come out of their pocket. What do they care? Until citizens wake up that, hey, stop throwing my freaking tax dollars at your incompetence, nothing changes. Both sustained serious injuries. Yeah. Okay, where are we at here? I knew the guy was shooting the cops. I couldn't believe it. This is one of the hostage takers, or one of the hostages. Okay? This is a problem when I hear people, I can't believe it. This means your mindset is not there. You work in a freaking bank. If you can't believe that people shoot at bank robberies, if you can't believe a bank's going to get robbed, if you can't believe that police are going to shoot at bank robbers, you probably shouldn't be wandering around without a helmet and a pink shirt that says, help me, I don't know what bathroom to use. Anyway, she became especially frightened when she heard different sounds of gunfire because she knew the police meant the police officers were firing back. So she, in her mind, watching CNN and these other liberal left-wing medias, she thought that government was there to protect her and they would never shoot at a car with her in it. That couldn't happen. The police are there to save me. Well, guess what? Now she doesn't believe that. Now she's a subscriber to Good Luck America. Analysis of the incident. Look, they interviewed 50 individuals. There was 33 officers that shot. So they only interviewed a few more than 33 that were shot. So that's not much. So this isn't like a great thing. Stockton police response to the bank robbery was anything but routine. Oh, see, it wasn't routine. That's why they did so badly. While some will say it was movies made of, it was far too real. All those involved will leave a lasting scars. Oh, will all the people that shot have scars growing up without their mother or their wife or their daughter for the parents? Well, is that the scars? No, Rick. Just, police, it's a tough job. I mean, they're going to feel bad about this. Okay, I got it. While the event's horrific, the leadership of the police chief Jones, in requested independent reviews, so many others may learn that Stockton's experience were commendable. See, the police chief's a good guy. He did not control his people. He did not train his people. He didn't take control of his people. He didn't promote people as supervisors that could take charge. He didn't shut this pursuit down and get on and say, everybody downgrade, knock. He didn't do any of that. But his actions were commendable because he asked for this softball agency to freaking do a report and tell them how great they were and justify how we can get more resources. Please, in your report, put a lot of things that if we had more money and more budget, we could fix. So I can use this report to increase my budget. So I can hire more officers and get more government. It's just freaking crazy. I mean, here's the bank here and here. They're saying the bank location is why it was so hard for them to set up on it. Again, it wasn't government's fault. A second challenge, officers were on scene quick. So that's a challenge. They're so used to getting there late. When they get there quick, it's not their fault that they didn't know what to do. Response time was 83 seconds. 16. I mean, look, This is they work a 4-10 schedule, officers assigned patrol, the department schedules every Wednesday, overlapping shifts on Wednesday. So, if criminals learn anything from this, don't commit crimes where agencies work a 4-10, because Wednesday is when they have the most cops working. Okay? Let's get everybody a little learning experience here. While the police department general member values short-term responses, this was an inverse relationship because of response time, spontaneous response planning. In this instance, immediate near arrival and the ability to plan suggests that all response should be delayed, but to identify the complicating factor of immediate responding. So this is lawyer talk and double talk for if we had more officers, we could get there quicker, but when we get there quick, it doesn't give us enough time to plan, so you can't hold us accountable. I mean, can you not figure out the double talk and the bullshit that's being shoved up your ass? I mean, it's just crazy. The lack of compliance of the suspects and the ability to enter a vehicle and go mobile was, according to some officers, one of the worst possible scenarios. Yeah, then we had to chase them. I mean, we had to. And then we had to shoot at them while we were chasing them. And then we had to fill the bullet full of holes when we were chasing them. This is the worst possible scenario. Very hard for us to justify what we do. Law enforcement model police policies emphasizes safe response by officers without needlessly endangering the officer or the public. Notice the officers before the public. That's a problem. Officers always safety trumps public safety. Always. Government safety always trumps pesky tax-paying citizen safety. Policies also responses that reduce potential for hostage situation. Agencies should develop response plan, arm mobile hostages, use of lethal force. Like like agencies don't know they should already be doing this. Really? Most officers interviewed did not know the department had direct contact with the bank. Not that it was significant communications. Agencies should determine technological capabilities, more money. If we only had more money. First responders dispatch should be familiar with technology, more money. If we had more training, we need more training budget so we can give more money to familiarize our dispatchers with technological. More money, more government. A coordinated response coalition is key to success. Agencies should develop training exercise. If we only had more training, if we only had more training budget, if we only had more trainers to keep track of our training budget, to get us more training budget so we can do more training, so we can have more training exercise to make it better. Are you freaking kidding me? Come on, people. Pull your damn head out. This is extremely important for maintaining cover and concealment. Really? The pursuit. Once observations, air support is critical. Critical. If every agency had their own plane, if we only had more money to have more planes for more agencies, we could have done this better and we wouldn't have had to fire 600 rounds and kill a hostage. Tracking reduces risk to the public. Really? It didn't reduce risk here. They had a freaking plane and they still chased him with 50 officers. So how does the... many agencies have established policies requiring pursuits for ground officers to disengage when it's unsafe. Really? Well, obviously, this policy didn't work. Additionally, a watch commander attempted to limit the number of vehicles engaged, and the police foundation team reviewed numerous videos that recorded officer segments of the pursuit and identified between 40 and 56 vehicles in a pursuit. Jesus Christ. But remember, public safety. If we only had more money and more officers, we wouldn't need to do this. We would only need 100 vehicles. If we had more money and more officers, unfreaking believable. Dispatch center, more money. Operators, if we only had more cameras, we could have helped. More money, more government will always fix all the problems of shooting 600 rounds into a vehicle and killing a hostage. According to Officer Pursuit, the passing was inappropriate in some instances. Police vehicles became disabled. However, in most cases, officers believed passing was inappropriate, unsafe. So, it's always been told that passing is inappropriate and unsafe. Well, that ain't new. Sadly, the third hostage was killed, and the pursuit came to stop. Sadly. It was a mistake. Remember they said earlier it was an accident that they fired 600 rounds into a vehicle with a hostage and she ended up dead. That was an accident. 600 rounds, hostage dead, hostage taker unarmed. If we only had more money, better bullets, more ammunition, faster shooting guns, more assault rifles, more training, more military, more bigger vehicles, more aircraft, more helicopters. If we only had more, we wouldn't have to put, sadly, the third hostage was killed. Man, this whole incident is a freaking joke. But anyway, if you read the rest of it, it's all about how great staffing. Here we go. 911 staffing, more training, more equipment, more staffing, more government will fix it. This whole damn thing is nothing but a thing calling for more money. It's a long report. Hell, I'm at 49 minutes. You can tell I highlight a lot of stuff in here. You can go through and read the report if you want to. Financial troubles, more money resulting. Senior police staff, more money, more people. Hiring more money will have us far seniority, more people, more overtime, more people. I mean, it's just on and on. This whole report was saying nothing held accountability. Thousands of other police departments around the nation with a culture of self-protection at almost any cost could often be found, but it was prominent enough idea of that term, the blue wall of silence. So they're praising the police chief for being open and not trying to hide this and allowing this soft shoe agency to come in and question them so they can write a report and tell if Stockton police only had their own aircraft and more training and more people and more whatever. 32 officers fired more than 600 rounds. 10 of those bullets struck the hostage, wife, mother of 2 kids. But remember, protect and serve. The police are here to help you. If you're in trouble, call 911. They will give up your guns, because if the police only have guns, they will protect you. They'll keep you safe. More government is always better. You'll always have more freedoms. You'll feel safer if you just have more government. Are you freaking kidding me? Look, we'll end that there. I've kind of beat this dead horse. You can read it. I'll put a link to this page report if you want to read it yourself in the description. We'll end that there.